All right, we're live on Instagram, we're live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. So in this live, I'm going to be talking practical vessel building, which is a request I got a while ago for how we can start to really deepen our spiritual practices. I'm sorry if you're feeling sick, Julia. I send you so much love. Yes. Yeah, there is a lot. It is a lot going on, and I'm so sorry you're feeling sick. And hopefully, some of these tools will help you today to feel better. So yeah, there's obviously a lot going on in the there's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot for us to dive into here. And I really want to deeply address a lot of the things that we can do as individuals to start to make this shift, like I've been talking about in my videos, from not enough consciousness, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not producing enough, I'm not providing enough, the world isn't enough, there isn't enough in the world, to, okay, who am I? Am I good enough? And where am I really standing here? And what do I truly have to offer? And when I am living from good enough, and when I am living from enough, and when I am living from this new place that the world we want to create, who am I? And what do I offer? And how do I live in this enough world that I want to create? And then the second shift is moving from intellect based, where we're purely in our linear intellectual minds and in our linear intellectual following, and how limited that is for us, right? And how we can shift into this feeling based way of living, which is not the same thing as saying we don't think anymore. We're trying to get rid of the mind. We're trying to get rid of the intellect. It's not that. Okay? This is a higher form of intelligence where we're using feeling as the foundation. We're using this massive amount of information that comes from feeling, that comes from our sensations, the physical body, the intuition, whatever you want to call it, that then informs the intellect of how to move forward and what is truly of benefit to us and what is truly intelligent. And this is the shift that we're needing to make, because all of us living from not enough, which is how we're living right now, okay? Spiritual people are doing it just as much as secular people. We see two sides of the same coin, right? The secular world is saying, I don't have enough, I'm not famous enough, I'm not popular enough, I'm not loved enough, I have to take from other people, I have to manipulate, I have to step on people, I have to use and abuse and do all these things to get what I need, because there isn't enough for me, and I need to take from others in order to have what I want. And then on the flip side, the light workers and the givers and the healers of this world who overgive from a place of feeling deficient inside themselves, right? I'm not doing enough, I'm not serving enough, I'm not showing up enough, I'm not enough, the world is in pain, I'm not healing it enough, I can't deal with this. And how we live from that side of not enough. And we're just both creating this world of scarcity and participating in this world of scarcity and not truly understanding what is of benefit. Because this is the main big thing, especially for light workers, is we are going to have to grow up a little bit and transcend this idea that self-sacrifice and martyrdom is the way to serve the world. Because again, most of us in the spiritual community, in the light work community, can understand that we can't abuse another. and actually benefit ourselves, right? We can understand we can't abuse another and benefit ourselves. That because we are all connected, when we abuse another, we abuse ourselves. Most of us are okay with that concept. Most of us are on board with that. We can all be okay with that. But equally true, we cannot abuse ourselves. We cannot overextend ourselves. We cannot sacrifice and martyr out ourselves and expect that to improve the world. So just like we can't expect to hurt someone and gain, we can't expect to give by hurting ourselves. Okay? So this is a point of maturation. That it's not about running from the logical mind of this person's hurting, this is hurting this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and we create chaos in our lives, and we sacrifice our own selves, we sacrifice our own well-being in order to serve. Because we are going to start to connect the dots that no, we are all connected. There is no such thing as sacrificing myself to serve the whole. Okay, so that's a big shift. And then the second big shift, right, is shifting from, like I said, figuring everything out from the logical mind, moving from our programming, moving from our nervous system programming, moving from manic energy of not wanting to feel our feelings, not wanting to be in our bodies, not wanting to be in our human experience, wanting to use spirituality as a way of checking out or transcending or getting rid of anything that hurts or anything that feels bad or anything that feels intense or anything that we don't know how to do, or numbing ourselves, feeling overstimulated, overdrawn, overdone, and numbing ourselves. And still, again, trying to work from intellect, trying to figure it all out intellectually. How are we going to get from where we are to where we want to go? How am I going to stop being addicted? How am I going to stop being all these things so I can finally be this higher self that I want to be? How am I going to serve the world? And trying to figure that out all in our minds. This isn't going to work. Okay, so this is a maturation into what is it like to lead a feeling-based life where we actually feel what our bodies are telling us. We actually get into this human experience and feel and let this feelings move through our vessel. Okay, so that's what this vessel building is all about. Because most of us have nervous systems that are totally fried. Our nervous systems are fried out, and that is not our fault. Okay? We have conditioning and programming from our infancy that tells us that who and what we are and what is natural to us and what we really want to do is wrong and bad, which then conflicts with who and what we actually are and what we really want to do. Real reality, pleasure and pain, conflicting with consensus reality, pleasure and pain. So that already is overstimulating our nervous systems. That is a lot of information that's contradictory, that's running through our vessel. Okay? Two different streams of energy contradicting each other, running through our nervous systems that are finite. That is overstimulation. Too much information coming in. Second thing, the world is overstimulating. We are completely overstimulated in this media and that social media and this phone call and that video and this person needing something from us and that person needing something from us. And then even on top of that, if you're just an energetically sensitive person, you're getting more stimuli than the average person. You're aware of more stimuli than the average person. Because this is the other thing that we don't really understand about the conscious and subconscious mind, is that the subconscious mind takes in everything. Just because we're not consciously aware, when we walk down the street, and hear everyone's conversations and feel everybody's energy. It's recorded. It went in. We ingested it. And it's almost like we're all kind of like night eaters, or we're all eating when we're in a coma. And so we're not remembering that we took it in, but it's in, and it's having to be processed. And none of us seem to have any practices to process what we're taking in. We are going into resistance, right? And this is a kind of big thing for empaths and sensitive people, is that we try and resist, right? We feel like it's getting in, we're feeling overstimulated, and we clamp down and we shut down and we tighten up and we distract ourselves and we try to deflect it, and we get into this resistance, which just actually poisons us. Because what it does is it stops the flow of what we've ingested mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It can't flow through the body. It can't flow through our nervous system. It gets stuck. And then what happens in a wire when the electricity flowing through it gets stuck? Does it just stay there? No, it fries the wire at that point, right? We're blowing our systems out. And then we feel overstimulated, so then we feel like we need to numb more. And then that puts us into even more resistance. And we don't feel and we don't process. And then we get even more clamped down and more restricted. And then we're trying to cope by giving too much. And it's this vicious cycle that we get in, where our bodies, our minds, and our spirits are just being depleted over and over and over again with all this overstimulation. And we're not processing, we're not feeling, we're living from intellect. And this is so painful. And so this time that we're in right now, where we are being given this opportunity to slow down. A lot of us are being given this opportunity to slow down. And for most of us, it does not feel good. We're not feeling good. When we slow down, it's painful. And if you can resonate with this, if you feel this inside yourself, that you're just feeling when you slow down and you can't give like you normally give, and you can't live like you normally live. Like there's this panic, this nervous system panic that comes over you. Or there's this depression, this just deep, dark depression of like, oh my God, I can't get through this. There's nothing to live for. What's the point? And you might notice that you swing between these two: manic giving, manic producing, manic creating. Everything seems fine because I'm good and I'm giving, until you burn out. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. You get sick, you burn out mentally, you burn out emotionally, and then everything stops. And you feel depressed. And then the way you get yourself out of that is by another project, more creativity, more giving. And we just swing between these two things. And then on top of that, we have our coping mechanisms, right? We wonder why we can't stop binging on Netflix, why we can't stop having the same fight over and over and over again with our friends and relatives and our partners, why we keep creating this drama in our lives, why we can't be the spiritual people we want to be, because we're not processing. Right? We're taking in all this spiritual information. We're listening to all these spiritual talks. We're doing all this cleansing and fasting and all of these things, and we can't hold it. We always fall back to our old ways. We always go back to being how we were. Why? Is it because we're undisciplined? Is it because we suck? No. It's because our vessel couldn't hold it. Our vessels are so overstimulated. They're being fried out all the time. And we don't know how to build the vessel so that we can hold all this information, so that we can move from feeling, which is way more information than moving from thought and moving from the conscious mind. And we're not allowing anything to flow through us. We're taking all this stuff in, and then we're clamping down, and it's burning us out. So this is what all of this is. So again, I don't follow any particular lineage. I'm going to give you the 5 steps. Don't worry. I don't follow any particular teacher. I think that, again, ultimately, reality is all that matters. If you find something that someone teaches and it brings you into a state where you are able to feel more, where you're able to slow down, where you're able to get insights you've never had before, and you're able to act on those insights, and those insights create more order in your life. Okay, so we need to get out of this idea that spirituality is something other than our physical lives, because it isn't. If your spirituality is not creating more order in your life, more peace, less busyness, less chaos, less sickness in your body, less emotional, mental, same patterns over and over and over again. If it's not helping you to actually shift your patterns to patterns that are more creative, more expansive, more complex, in the sense that your life becomes more simple, less and less things of distraction in your day-to-day life, more space for creative awareness, more space for healthy relationships, more space for making your own food and nourishing your body, more space for these simple things, it's not working. So I don't care who says it. I don't care how revered they are. I don't care about any lineage. I only care about what brings more order. Because alignment is not, again, something we wonder if we're in alignment or not. Alignment means our lives are getting more ordered, more creative, more expansive and free, less restrictive, less same pattern over and over and over again, more new experiences, feeling more and more empowered to be yourself, to make mistakes, to do what it takes to learn on your learning path. That's what it looks like to be living a spiritual life. And we have to build our vessel to get here. And so again, I'm going to talk a little bit before I give you the practices about why we're not already doing this, why we're not already living this way. Okay, because all of us have been trained, like I said, in so many of my lives and all my videos, we are emotionally traumatized. We are physically traumatized. We don't want to be in our bodies. We don't want to be in the human experience. We don't want to be in feeling because it hurts and it's painful and it's uncomfortable. And I want you to know that, right, we all want to take ayahuasca. We all want to do plant medicine. We all want to transcend. We all want to get rid of our negative emotions. We want to, like I say, we want to transcend. And we've been duped into this idea that the more spiritual you are, the less you feel, or the less you care about feeling, and the less human you are. And it's like, no. True spirituality is becoming a master at being human. It's mastering your humanness. It's mastering the human life we're in. It's feeling more. It's being able to process more. It's in your body more. It's so grounded. And that is what is the foundation for the transcendental experiences. Because again, from my experience, the more ordered I make my life, the more I build my physical vessel, the more I'm in my physical vessel and in my life and taking care of the details of my life, the more expanded awareness, consciousness out of my body, all of these mystical, magical experiences I have. They go hand in hand. And then again, the mystical, magical experiences aren't this part of my life, and then there's the rest of my life. They're the same. They start my spiritual life and my regular life are the same life. My creative life, my work life, what I do, what I talk about here is what I live. I'm not saying anything that I'm not doing. There aren't two different parts. It's congruent. It becomes more and more congruent. And that is the path. The path to enlightenment is through the body, with the physical, in the physical. It's not something to transcend. It's something to master. It's teaching us. So most of us don't want to be in it because it hurts and it's painful. And that is because reality is telling us that we are living in ways that are out of alignment with truth. And that is reality right now. And I think all of the spiritual people out there can very, very deeply resonate with that. People on this planet are starving for no good reason. We are polluting the oceans. We're polluting the air. We're polluting the forests. We can't feel good while we do that. We rely on fossil fuels when we could be moving towards sustainable energy. It's not going to feel good. We binge on entertainment to numb ourselves from our feeling state. It doesn't feel good. We are, and then this is the next part. We are not living as our full selves. We don't feel safe to be our true, real selves. We feel the pain of our individual, I can't be who I am. I don't even know who I am at this point because it's been so buried under all the conditioning. And we feel that. And it hurts. And then with that, because of our conditioning, we don't have compassion for ourselves. We don't look at how we're living out of alignment and think, oh, ouch, okay, what can we do different? This pain is simply telling me I'm out of alignment. So what do I need to do to change? What do we actually do? We go into shame and we go into guilt. Okay, this is why we're not making the transition. This is why people are not figuring out how to feel. This is why we're not getting to a new place. Because we feel, and then we have all the shame and guilt stories. I'm not allowed to be this way. I'm not good enough. I'm fucking up. I'm a horrible person. If I admit that I feel bad, that means I'm doing something wrong, and that's bad. If I'm wrong, I'm bad. If I don't know what I'm doing, I'm bad. If there's something wrong with me physically, mentally, emotionally, I'm bad. Right? We have this overwhelming sense of guilt and shame. So we don't feel safe. We don't feel safe to feel pain and pleasure because we have all these stories on top of pain and pleasure and what they mean about us. When we feel the pain of our own misalignment, we go straight into guilt and shame, or we go into denial and deflection because we don't know how to feel that and have compassion for ourselves and move through it. This is why we're stuck. Guilt and shame are always lies. We don't need them. Pain and pleasure will be there. Okay, we all believe that if we let ourselves off the hook of guilt and shame, that then we're all just going to have moral relativism. I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want. No consequences. Who freaking cares? I'm not going to know what the rules are. Spiritual people are afraid they will become bad people if we don't have guilt and shame to keep us in line. We're so afraid we're going to miss our purpose. We're going to miss our calling. We're going to be awful, destructive human beings and have no idea that we were doing it. And everyone else thinks it's going to make us rapists and murderers and just let the criminals run in the street because everything's fine if we don't have guilt and shame. No. We will feel pain when we are out of alignment with truth. We will feel pleasure when we are in alignment with truth. Reality has bumpers. Okay? And again, we're so disconnected from our feelings and we are so disconnected from understanding what pain and pleasure are telling us that most of us don't believe this. We don't believe that there is a reality that's going to guide us because we don't know how to tap into it. because we're so disconnected and in our heads and in our stories and in our assumptions. We're not observing reality. We're not observing patterns. We're not observing ourselves. And even if we are, we're observing it and then making a story about it, about how we're bad, how we're wrong, how we're terrible, how we're shameful, or we're deflecting. And this is the cycle that we're in. So we don't know how to feel because we don't know how to have pain without it being guilt and shame. And then on top of that, when we really start to get into our feelings and we start to get the messages from our feelings, everyone wants to get the message from their feelings. And what I'm going to say is that generally, no, you don't. Because the message from your feeling is going to be, you can't continue to live this way. Everything your parents taught you about what you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do to get love from outside of yourself is out of alignment and out of sync with who you really are as a human being. And then that's going to trigger your nervous system into deep fear. And no, we can't do that. We can't listen to that message. I don't want to hear that. Right? We really start to connect to our feelings and we start to be like, well, work feels bad and my relationships feel bad and my diet feels bad and all these things feel bad. Then it can't all possibly be that it's all wrong. And it probably is. And that's a lot. And that's super overwhelming. So of course, what do? We run, we numb, we deflect. We don't want to feel that. Because the messages we're going to get are going to be, you now have to transcend what your parents taught you. You have to transcend what reality, consensus reality thinks is real, right? I'm living this every day. People look at me every single day and say, you're sick. I'm looking at your body and your body is not in alignment with what I think a body is supposed to look like. And you're sick. And they write me off and they tell me that all the time. And when in reality, I should be dead right now. Based on how sick I was when I was born and how degraded my genetics were. And by the time I was 14, I was on the couch with cysts on my ovaries, a lung infection I had had for 6 months that I couldn't get rid of, colitis, my colon was shutting down, all my organs were shutting down. I went into a stress-induced menopause when I was 15, way before I changed my diet, way before I did anything about my health. I was on death's door at 15 years old. I was degrading so fast. And all of my cousins on my grandma's side of the family have had cancer, have had organs removed, and then my grandma died of breast and colon cancer. These things, I did a genetic test and I'm super genetically predisposed to all of these things. I was not well and then changed my diet and then my health diminished. I was so sick at 15, doctors had no idea what was going on with me. I was on my own because I was so messed up and so abandoned by my parents and all these things that it's a miracle that I'm alive. And I'm actually regenerating. This time 2 years ago, I couldn't do the things that I can do today. And so I get it. I don't look how I'm supposed to look by consensus reality. But I had to break away from consensus reality. I had to find my own way. Because if I had gone with the way that everyone else was telling me, I'd be dead right now. Or I would definitely not be traveling the world. I definitely wouldn't be able to do what I do. Because the medical system would have taken my organs out. The medical system would have medicated me. The medical system would have done all these things and degraded me. And I'm looking at my cousins and I see what that leads to. They're sick all the time. I am getting better every year. I get medical tests, test my organs, everything improves. My liver, my kidneys, my colon, everything gets better every year. My blood markers are all great, right? I'm not flying blind here. But it took all of that. And then the same thing, getting to this place where this is my life, where I get to talk about the things that I care about. I get to live in a place I really want to be. I have a life of order. My life isn't very complicated. It's quite simple. It's creativity, it's movement, it's good food, it's adventures. And that's about it. It's not chaotic. It's not crazy. And I am able to maintain and sustain this. And I was able to create it because of the things I'm about to tell you. Okay? So I know I don't look like consensus reality, what we all think it should look like. But I'm living the rewards of this lifestyle. I'm healthier now than I've ever been in my life. I can do things now physically I could not do before. I can travel on an airplane and not get knocked out. Like I say, it's just, I'm living a life I never thought I was going to be able to with how sick I was and how degraded my system was. I literally have exceeded my own expectations of what I thought was possible for myself. And so that's why I'm talking from the place that I'm talking. I'm not talking from theory. I should be dead right now. I was born in Red Deer, Alberta. I am not college educated. I was essentially white trash. That's where I came from. And sick from the day I was born, getting sicker and sicker and sicker until I was almost dead at 15. No one came and rescued me. No one came and told me how to do this. Okay, I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have a guide. I didn't have anyone telling me to keep going. I had everyone telling me I was crazy or I was sick and I was going to die, and that was basically it. So I figured all this out, not because there's something special about me, but because I had to use the tools I'm about to tell you I had. Because there wasn't anything else. There was no other option. The other option was die. And I knew that. I knew in myself at 14 and at 15 that I was about to die. I made peace with the fact that I was going to die. I actually, by the time I got to my 30th birthday, was surprised that I got there. I made a deal with myself that I was going, at 14 and 15, I made a deal with myself that I was going to do what it took to try to heal, understanding that there was a very good chance that I wasn't going to. I made my peace with that I was probably going to die, that my body was so sick already, my emotions were so sick, right? All of the physical stuff aside, I also was raised in a household where I was scapegoated and I was blamed and shamed for absolutely everyone else's pain, and everything was my fault. And I was so energetically sensitive, feeling everyone's bodies, not knowing that that's what was happening, feeling everyone's emotions, not knowing that that was what was happening, because there was no one around me who understood energetic sensitivity. I didn't understand it. I thought that's what everyone else was feeling, and everyone else was just good at handling it. And I was crazy. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression 100 million times. And then, of course, with my physical body being the way that it is, drugs didn't do anything. It just never worked for me. So, like I said, these tools that I'm about to share with you are the reason I'm still alive. Like, this isn't something I did because I wanted to be a spiritual person. This was like, I'm going to find the truth or I'm going to die trying, because there wasn't anything else. There was no other option for me. So that's what I'm saying, that this is why I'm so passionate about this. Because this wasn't just an extracurricular activity for me. It was this or die. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I was ready to give up when I was 14. I was so sad, so depressed, so disheartened with how much pain the world was in and how little I could do about it. How little control I felt like I had. How I could feel everything and just felt like there was no hope. Like, as I had been trying my whole life to save everybody, and Christianity had taught me early, get people to accept Jesus into their heart. Just like, I was a constant counselor, like this person that I am now, that everyone feels like they can just tell me all their life story and you feel safe with me, and that energy, that's been my life, my entire life. I pretty much know everything about everyone I went to high school with, because at some point people sat down and told me their life story. I can feel everyone else's body. So like that's what I'm saying. This was my life. This isn't something, and I don't claim ownership of any of this. This isn't me talking. These aren't my teachings. This is just reality. And that's why I say I don't care about the teacher or about the lineage or about, I have respect for people, all types of people who say things that are true and that actually work to help people come into their bodies so they can figure out for themselves what is reality. That's all I care about. So I don't care about you following me. I don't want to be a guru that people follow. I want to be someone that guides you back to yourself. I want to give you tools that guide you back to you. And of course, that's traumatizing in and of itself. And I understand that because most of us have grown up not believing that we could figure things out for ourselves, or feeling that if we have to figure things out for ourselves, we're screwed. We're not going to be able to. We can't. We don't feel like empowered adults. We're all traumatized children who are looking for the teacher, looking for the guru, looking for the guide, looking for the mom or the dad to tell us what to do. What are the rules? Because I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to do it wrong. I don't want to get hurt. Because then that means that I'm wrong and bad and undeserving of love. And it's like, okay, no. That's why this self-love path is the only thing I've ever taught. Because that's the foundation. You are worthy of love whether you're in pain or you're in pleasure. It doesn't matter. There is nothing for you to be ashamed of. You can learn without shame and guilt. And in fact, you will learn so much better and so much faster without shame and guilt. Because shame and guilt put you into nervous system lockdown. Love is going away. Provision is going away. Childhood trauma. I'm not okay. Do what I've always done. I accept myself. I love myself. I'm still worthy of love even though I'm in pain. Nervous system relax, because that's how our nervous systems are programmed. Watch all of my other videos. We have to work with the nervous systems we have, which right now are programmed. Love equals safety. Safety equals I can change and do something different. Grow, evolve, and expand. Rejection, not love. Love going away equals provision goes away, equals unsafe, equals nervous system shutdown, equals I'm going to do what I've always done. So if we really want to change and heal and transcend and grow, the foundation has to be, where am I shaming myself? Where am I cutting love off from myself now as an adult? With all these stories I was told and I was given, these are not my fault, these are not my stories. They were given to me, but this is where the vessel building comes in, because you're feeling it. You already have access to everything you need to know how to live a life of perfect alignment. You just don't know how to process it and you don't know how to interpret it. So how do we do that? Here are the tools. Number one, we address ourselves on every level, every day. So first things first, mentally and emotionally, we address ourselves through taking 5, 10, 15 minutes every single day. No compromises, no excuses. We commit 5 or 10 minutes every single day to sit in our bodies. So when I say meditate, I don't mean don't try and think and blah, blah, blah. This is what I mean by meditate. You stop, you sit still, you close your eyes, and you feel your body. And most of us think we're feeling. Well, we're not. We're telling stories. Okay, so you are going to slow down. You're going to be in your body, and you're going to notice sensation or lack of sensation. That is what a feeling is. So anxiety is not a feeling. Depression is not a feeling. Tired is not even a feeling. We want to go deeper than that. So I don't want you to sit and think, okay, because most of us, we go into meditation and we think, okay, I'm just going to not think. And then we have a thought, and then we try to get rid of the thought, and the thought, and then blah, 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 and what happens? We do that for 20 minutes and nothing changes our life, not at all. Or we go in and we think we're self-aware. I'm feeling anxiety because of this. I'm feeling depression because of this. I'm feeling sick because of this. And this is what I'm going to do about it. Or I have no idea what I'm going to do about it, right? And then we get into our crazy 8 cycles where we get on the diet and then we fall off the diet. And then we get on the diet and then we fall off the diet. And it was working while I was on it, but I fell off it. So I just need to get back on it. No. If something is a true insight for what you really need to be doing for yourself, it's going to be incremental. It's going to be small enough that you can actually do it. And then you're going to be so motivated to keep doing it that you're not going to fall off. So if you're falling off, it's not the answer. So we sit and we notice how much we are assuming we already know about ourselves and about reality. How much we are not in feeling, we are in storytelling. I am anxious, and I'm anxious because of this is a story. You don't know that yet. Unless that story equals an action you can take that creates more order in your life, that actually gets rid of the source of that anxiety. So you're not in a crazy 8. You're not in a loop. It's not happening over and over. You're making actual progress. That's not it. So we back up and we say, tightness in my chest. That is a feeling. What are we feeling? The sensation. And where is it in the body? That is meditation. So we sit for 5 or 10 minutes and we feel the contraction in our chest and we want to run away and we think our heart's going to explode. And we just sit with it. We just don't react. We don't respond. We sit in it. And again, this is not to learn how to be in pain and not react. Okay? There's second steps to this. But we have to start with feeling and not reacting to the feeling. Because that's why I say, when I say we are shifting from intellect-based to feeling-based, most people are like, well, then you're just going to be this crazy person who's just running on feeling. No. That's not how it is. We are going to be emotional masters. We are not swayed by our emotions. We're not riding the wave. We're down below the surface. We're feeling the actual pulse and getting the actual message from the pulse, okay? So we learn to sit with the emotion and not react, and to then, as we're doing that, relax the body as much as possible so that it can actually flow through us, right? That's the exact opposite instinct that we all have. Our instinct all right now is to clamp down. And then where that wire, where the information is flowing through, it's already there. It's happening. It's too bad. It's already in. So you're either going to let it flow through you and let it strengthen the vessel as you do, or you're going to clamp down and it's going to fry you. And it's going to get stuck in you, and it's going to fry you, and it's going to get stuck in you, and it's going to fry you, and it's going to get stuck in you, and it's going to fry you over and over and over again. Those are your 2 options. So I'm saying let's choose option 1. Feel the feeling, relax as much as you can. And that is hard. Okay, this is not going to be easy. You're not going to want to do it. It's not going to feel good for a very long time. But this is vessel building number 1. Sit with the sensation. Notice the stories. Thank your mind for telling you all those stories. It's just trying to help you. It's just trying to save you. It's just trying to rescue you. It's innocent. And then you sit and you feel. Sit and feel. Sit and feel. Notice that you want to run. Notice that you want to get away. Notice that you want to sit and feel. That's step 1. Non-negotiable, 5 or 10 minutes every day. And then when you're done, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do to turn the feelings off. Okay? Go to your coping mechanisms. Go to your scapegoats. Go to your distractions. Whatever you need to do to turn it off, if you need to turn it off, that's fine. Just do it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day. Second thing, movement that takes you into your body. 5 or 10 minutes a day. Okay, so you can have your hardcore workout, right? You want to go for a run, you want to do your HIIT thing, you want to lift heavy weights, you want to do all those things, that's so great. Do that. Okay? 100%. But that's not this. You want to do Kundalini yoga where you get all high and you get out of your body. Okay, fine. But that's not this. This movement that I'm talking about is about being embodied while you move. Having your movement bring you into your body. So you don't want to go for a run and it gets you out of your head, but then out of your body. Right? If you can go for a walk or a run and it draws you deeper into what you're feeling and it connects you to your body, not taking you out of your body with a high, but into your body, that's what we want to do. So for me, I practice asana. And I don't follow a teacher, I don't follow a guide or whatever, because the point is for me to get into my body. So what feels good for me to stretch? What feels good for me to strengthen? What feels good for me to flow into? And what doesn't feel good? What feels like pushing? What feels like forcing? What feels like, right? And then, so there are some days where movement and a lot of movement feels really good. And it doesn't feel like pushing, and I can be in my body while I'm doing it. There are other days where that doesn't feel good, and I have to check out to get myself to do it. And so I slow down, right? So movement, 5 or 10 minutes a day, that gets you into your body so you're noticing what you're feeling while you're moving. Okay? Third thing, 5 or 10 minutes a day of processing. So this is where we take what we felt in our meditation and we journal about it. We take what we're feeling when we do our movement practice and we talk to somebody about it. Or we make a video. We talk to our computer. You record yourself in a voice recorder. Getting it out of your head. There has to be a processing. This is something that I think everyone misses. And it's, again, then everything's just circulating, but nothing's being out. We need to process. We need to write it down. We need to talk about it. We need to express it in some way. Art, color, draw, paint, sing, write music. Some form of creative expression of what you are feeling is step number 3. Thing number 3 that needs to be done every day. Okay? And number 4 is connect with your food. Connect with what you're eating. Make something. When you're eating, eat. And this is going to be difficult. Because again, and especially a lot of us who have a lot of pain in our bodies and have a lot of have had a lot of trauma around food, this is going to be a big deal. And it's going to be hard, and this is going to be a step that I would even just say, don't worry about implementing this until the other 3 steps are implemented. But once we can start to connect with this real physical, I'm taking care of my body, right? Lifestyle simplicity. What are the things that I can get rid of that distract me from having time to make my own food? Okay? And another part of this step that if we don't want to do the food thing, it's like bringing order to your environment. So making a practice of making your bed every day. Making a practice of putting things in their place. Putting things back. Completing your tasks. Like actually completing. When you take out the garbage, you take out the garbage, you put it where it goes, you put the new liner in the bin, you wipe it down. It's a completion of a task. You start to become just little things in your life that take you out of just 100, you're doing 100 million things and you're on and you're doing this and you're doing that, you're doing this and you're doing that, to just, okay, I'm just going to focus on taking out the garbage, completing the whole task. Making my juice, completing the whole task. All the way from starting it to clean up. I'm going to clean up my activity before I move on to the next thing. right? Ending the thing that we're doing and then starting the new thing. These 4 things: sitting and feeling, movement where you're feeling, processing in some way, and then pattern interrupts during your day where you are completing a task, where you are connecting with what you're actually doing right now. And how does that feel? I want to run. I want to be on my phone while I'm making my bed. Or I don't want to make my bed. I don't want to clean up my clothes. I have all this stuff all around my house and my apartment. I'm going to order out because I'm too busy. We need to start getting rid of that stuff. Simplifying. And you're going to notice that when you do this, at first it feels terrible. Your mind and your body are not going to want to do it. You're going to have a lot of nervous system. That's what I'm saying. No one's doing this. These are simple things, but no one wants to do it because it's going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to feel good. And I'm telling you that now. Spiritual people tell you meditation is supposed to make you feel relaxed. No, it's not. It's not going to make you feel relaxed. It's going to make you come into awareness of how relaxed you are not, of how fried your nervous system is, of how deeply you hate yourself. And you're afraid of who you are, and you're afraid of the world, and you're afraid, and your nervous system is running the show, and your intellect is running the show, and you're telling yourself all these stories, and your awareness is so low of yourself. And none of that is your fault. This is all not your fault. We were trained. We've been living in this world. This is why we have the world that we have. We're all running from ourselves. We're running from feeling. We're not allowing ourselves to learn from it. Like the second, if everyone could just tune into how it felt for 5 seconds to take advantage of someone else and have no shame or guilt about it, but just feel what it feels like, we would all stop doing it immediately because it feels terrible. And when there's no shame and guilt involved, when we don't make it mean I'm a horrible person if I admit that I'm doing this, and we say, oh, okay, well, that was a misunderstanding. It's okay. And it was literally that simple, that basic. This doesn't feel good. We would stop doing it. We are not fundamentally evil people. And that is because of how reality works. We are all wired for pleasure. And nothing that is truly good for us feels bad when we are in true perception. Because again, we all have consensus reality, pain, and pleasure, where drinking with our friends and numbing out on Netflix feels good. But it only feels good for a short period of time. And then there's a negative backlash. In real reality, true pleasure has no negative backlash. There's no negative consequence. We are never punished. And this is why so many of us are afraid of pleasure. We don't trust pleasure. Because all the pleasure we've ever known has come with a negative consequence. Eating chocolate cake feels so good, and then we feel sick in the morning. So pleasure equals pain. Right? And working out feels shit, but then I feel good later. So pain equals pleasure. No. When we can start getting rid of all the stories and all the self-hate and all this crazy shit we have built up on top of reality, eating chocolate cake isn't going to feel good. Like literally, while you're doing it, it won't taste good. Exercise will feel good in the moment. And then that's it. It is immediate. We have to remove our perceptions and our filters. So those are my 4 steps. Practicing feeling every day and watching how you don't want to. Practicing movement in your body every single day. Practicing processing every single day. And then pattern interrupting yourself all day long, as many times as you can, to be present with what you're doing. To complete a task before you start a new task. To clean up after yourself. OCD. It doesn't mean your house has to be perfectly clean all the time. It doesn't mean you have to eat perfectly healthy. Nothing. It's about noticing how things feel, right? It's not about new rules. Yes, this will be posted to my IGTV and eventually to my YouTube, okay? So these are the 4 basic vessel building tools that if you commit to these 4 things, it will change your life. And reality will start to be your guide. And then on top of that, the dealing with the shame and the dealing with the trauma and all that stuff, I have a lot of videos on my YouTube to help you with that. You can join my mystery school, which is like we are going deep into this. The deep tissue cleansing and the how to awaken to reality. I have these 2 protocols, the healing childhood trauma protocol, the healing guilt and shame protocol, and the deep tissue cleansing protocol. And these things taken together is the deep dive on this. So that's what we're doing in the mystery school. So if you want more help, that's where to go. I have free resources on my YouTube channel, on my blog, on my website, perceptiontrainers.com. So much free resource. If you want something deeper, come to the mystery school. It's all laid out for you in 2 curriculums. But this is the process of how we move from not enough consciousness and intellectual based to feeling and I am enough. Okay? You are enough. Your guilt and your shame are lies. You have to heal your childhood trauma to get to the truth. So that's part of loving yourself. Being with that and riding the waves through, writing down your stories. I feel so shameful about this. What if that's not true? Questioning your perspective, questioning your perception. Like I said, I have a million videos on YouTube and all my tools in my mystery school. But those 4 things, start with those 4 things. Make those your non-negotiables. And then build up from there. Okay? This is practical vessel building. This is how we go from where we are to where we want to go. So that's that. I'm going to post this to my IGTV so you can watch it a million times if you need to. I'm going to put it on my YouTube eventually. But just show up for yourself. Let's start feeling. Let's start shifting from this not enough consciousness. And I know it doesn't feel safe. And I know it doesn't feel good in your body. And that's okay, and it's not your fault. That's why we do it just in little increments. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay, don't try and force yourself to sit for an hour and a half. It's too much. We're building the vessel. Eventually you will be able to sit for an hour and a half, get a huge download about how you need to change your life, and be able to do it that day. Because your vessel will be strong enough to do that. That's what this is for. That's the point. That's what this leads you to. Being actually free to align. Even though your nervous system and all these things were trained a whole other way. This is how we liberate ourselves, to be real adults who can learn from reality and change and grow and learn from real pain and real pleasure. Okay? And you will discover all the mysteries of the universe this way. Everything you want to know about reality, this is how you're going to figure it out. All the magical things, you don't need ayahuasca. Do this. This is the way. You can have it this way. You don't have to go to Vipassana. You don't have to go to a retreat. You don't have to walk on fire. You don't have to do any of that shit. Do this every day. Build your vessel every day. Turtle. Be the turtle. You will cross the finish line so much faster. Okay? So that's it. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope this resonated with you. And I'll see you next week in another live where we'll talk about something else. Okay? So you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're already good enough. It's just about you figuring out that you're already good enough. You can learn from reality. You don't need a teacher. You just need tools that get you back to yourself. And that's all I'm providing for you. Okay? So that's it. I love you. Have a great day. Mwah.